All right. Now I know we already talked about Scatterplots in class, but we use them so much in so many of our labs and a lot of the work we do that I felt it was probably worth making a quick video just kind of breaking down some of the main points of it, right? So a scatter plot is just that idea of making a scatter plot. I mean, look at your book to see it, but our code for that is simply plot. That's how popular it is it doesn't have a special name. It is just plot, right? And so we put in there what we want to plot, right? So it says plot my X variable and my Y variable. So if I go ahead and say, I'm going to look at my loans data. And remember, my variables or those columns, which I reference with the dollar sign. So I'm going to say loans, dollar, and let's say interest rate. Now, the nice thing is, as soon as I push I, it pops up there. Now, I could just click on there. And I typed a capital I, and it knows it's lowercase I. I could click on that, but I'm lazy. I don't want to take my fingers off of here. And so if I just push tab, it will go ahead and finish that out, right? And then let's look at that in comparison to loans, dollar sign, let's say total income. So I'm going to go total, and then I'm just going to go down 1, 2 to total income. And there we go. Now I had to do that loans dollar sign twice because I might have wanted to pull one from one data set. I might have changed it up at some point. There are some ways I can show you guys later if you're interested to just to write this in a slightly different way, but this is how I do this. In a very easy way, I can just go ahead and I'm done, right? And I can go ahead and run that. And if we can see, there is my scatter plot. It's not super exciting, but I've got my income on the y-axis and my interest rate on the x, right? Because that's what I told it to do, and so it's showing there. But it's a little bit bland and hard to read because it's got the just names of the variables there, which luckily they do kind of make sense, total income and interest rate. But I could do better on this, right? So there are a lot of optional piece of information that you could put in the plot, right? So, for example, I can go ahead. One of the couple of the ones that you're going to use a lot are xlab. Xlab means label, right? So I say xlab equals, and then I put in quotes because I'm going to give it words. I wanted to know this is what I wanted to say on the x label, right? Or on the x-axis. And the x-axis is my interest rate. So I'm just going to type interest rate, and I'm going to let you guys know, interest rate, and I'm going to let everyone know that that is in percent, right? And the nice thing, anything between in quotes on RStudio is green, so I know it's going to show up as text. Similarly, if xlab is the x label, comma for every new option that I give it, then ylab, not surprisingly, is the y label. And so I'm going to say there, that is my income, and that's in dollars, right? So I'm getting more information. Now, if I want to give this entire thing a title, well, that is the main, because it's the main title. So I'm going to go ahead and say main equals, and then quotes. And I don't know, let's not be too interesting. We'll just say total income, whoops, I can't spell, income versus interest rate. And then lastly, let's give it I don't like the just kind of black and white here, so I'm going to say COL. That's going to change the color of this. And you can look up online all the different, you can give just an RGB number, or there are certain preset words. And so I just happen to know all lowercase dark blue is something that I can give it. And so I'm going to go ahead and now I'm going to rerun that. And it's the same chart, but now you can see I've got a title on it. I've got an x-axis label. I've got a y-axis label. I like my dots. They're all nice and dark blue. The only thing that I might still want to change is I might want to adjust the range, right? It just auto tried to fit the range, but maybe income really usually goes up to 300,000. And I want to make sure you understand that no one, or 500,000. I want to make sure you know that no one has a income that high. So what I'm going to do in there is that I want to change the limits of the y-axis, right? So that is y lim. You can do the same thing with the x-axis for x lim. We're just not going to do it right now. And since this is a range, I need to tell it from where to where, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go C parenthesis 0, 500,000, right? And so we haven't introduced that before, but that C function is saying make a column vector, right? So it's saying xlim needs 2 numbers, and so I'm giving it those numbers on the fly as a column vector of saying 0 to 500,000. So now when I run this, now I've got such a big range here. You can see it's kind of halved it and squished it down, and it's changed those numbers on the on the y-axis to scientific notation. We can talk about how to change that later. If I don't like that, maybe I change this down to 400,000 and see how that looks. I'm going to change that to 350 and see how that looks. And now it's all fitting there. There are ways to change that. Scientific notation is not bad. Oh, it's actually, I've changed it to, I didn't realize that I actually changed that to 3.5 million. That's why all of my data is now squished to the bottom. So this is correct data, but not as useful, right? So be careful when you're messing with the limits on there that you actually get what you want. Okay, I think those are the kind of main ideas of the real popular things we use on the scatter plot is that we put in a plot, we give our X and Y variables, and then we usually want to at least label the Y-axis, the X-axis, give a title to the entire thing, change the colors if you need to, and then mess with the X and Y limits. Okay, that should be, I think, some of the main questions that we had on Scatterplots. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. We can edit this or we can put up another video, but otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video.